Paula. Welcome to my channel, Stitching in High Heels, where I talk about all of my adventures with needle and thread. If you're new here, welcome. I'm very glad you're here. I hope you find something that you like and that you'll like the video, maybe even consider subscribing, and come back to see what else I get up to over time. If you're a returning visitor, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate the fact that you're here. There's so much great content out there in the FlossTube, YouTube world these days that it's hard to find time to watch everybody. So like I said, I really appreciate the fact that you're here. Today is Sunday, April 19th. It's kind of a damp, cool, nasty day here in the Catskills area of New York State. As a matter of fact, we had rain this morning and now there's big white chunks that sort of resemble snowflakes falling out of the sky. Nothing sticking. It's been really warm the last couple days, but just a reminder that Mother Nature still is in a bit of a kerfluffle. So a little bit different today. I do have a couple of finishes to show you, but if you watched my last video, you know that this month I'm pretty much trying to work steadily on Arabesque by Jan Hicks. The good news about when you kind of stick to one project or work monogamously on one project is that you get quite a bit of progress, but from the content perspective, there's not a lot to show. So I do have an idea for later in the video. I'm kind of feeling a new start here soon, so got some options. I'm going to be asking you guys for a little bit of an opinion. So without further ado, why don't we jump in? And all my stuff is stacked off here to the side, so if I'm looking off to the side, that's what I'm doing. But I just want to mute my phone before we go any further. Okay, so if you're familiar with WhipGo, you know what that is. If you're not, it's a bingo style game started by Jessie Marie from Jessie Marie Does Stuff here on FlossTube. And the idea is to fill out a bingo style game board with 25 squares, and you put a project in each square, and there's all sorts of different ways to do it. People do it to get progress on their whips or works in progress, their unfinished pieces. Some people do it to start new projects. Some people even put things in like clean out their craft room or organize their threads, that kind of thing. What I do and have done for the last several years with quite a bit of success is that I had a bunch of older ornaments that I had fabric cuts for and never got around to stitching, a lot of them from the early 2000s. So my board has been ornaments, Christmas ornaments, and I'm going to continue to do that. I think this year we will get through my last pre-cut of fabric, and I've got some newer projects that have been added in. So my most recent finish is this. This is Time of Wonder by Julia Lucas. Now, in the original, this is from a just cross stitch, I think it's 2004. In the original, there was text down here that said Time of Wonder. I decided to leave that off. I don't know if that's clear, I can't really tell. So it's, I guess this is supposed to be a boy. I feel like it's a girl, anyway, with their dog, looking at some houses at nighttime with lights on in the window. And I kind of like it. It'll be more of a square shape than a rectangular shape without the text. And I kind of like it this way, so I'm going to leave it this way. So there's one finish. And then the other finish, if you saw my Instagram, you've already seen this. This is a Mill Hill kit. It's a snowman by Jim Shore. And it's just called Snowman. There were 4 of them in this series. There's a Santa, a snowman, a Christmas tree, and I think a reindeer. And I have all 4 kits. I just have not, this is the only one that I even started. And they came out in 2014, and I believe I bought this and started it as soon as it came out. Carried it around in a travel bag, like my laptop bag for work for quite a while, got minimal progress on it, and decided I wanted to get it finished. This was a good one for stitching during conference calls because it's kind of small, and even though you got to count, it's fairly easy to pick up and put down. I used all the kit materials, which is an 18 count navy blue Aida, DMC floss, and Mill Hill beads. So there's that. I finally finished up the beading on that Friday night, I believe. So I have a close-up video of all the beading, which I'm going to put in here. And that's Snowman by Jim Shore and Mill Hill. Those are the only finishes I have. I know I showed you a lot of fully finished objects last week, excuse me. I don't have any of those this week. So I did work, so I have some whips. We'll jump into whips. So this is another one that's easy to pick up and put down, and I was feeling a little unsettled after I finished the stitching on the snowman. So for my next conference call, I picked up, this is another Mill Hill, this is their button and beads line, and this is called Sandy Claus. I started this in December while I was on a trip with my best friend. We were on a cruise. I always have stitching with me. So I took this with me and didn't get a lot done, but this time I worked up here in this corner. I got the sky and the clouds done. Finished up this sunrise, sunset, I think it's a sunset. So worked a lot over there on the background, kind of trying to save the crab and the palm tree for last. So this will be one that I pick up and put down as I have time. But that's Sandy Claus. Okay, you guys probably didn't notice that because hopefully I edited out that little side, but I forgot to get something that I wanted to share with you. But my next whip, and this is one that I've been working on. I've had a lot of conference calls at work when I've been working from home, so I've actually gotten quite a bit of progress during those. So this next one, this is one of my pieces to commemorate the 250th anniversary of America, and this is Salute to Abigail by Blackbird Designs. And this is in the Sweet Land of Liberty book. I know it was originally, I believe it was originally published separately, but I have it in the Sweet Land of Liberty book. And this is just a copy of the picture from the book to keep with my working copy. And I am stitching this 2/2 on 32 count plateau linen by Zweigart. I believe it's one of their standard colors. And this called for 4 colors of silk. I am actually using 2 colors from Pirate and Robin. They're an overdyed cotton thread, fairly new, but they've become pretty popular. I'm using Belladonna for the blue and Redstone for the red, and then I'm using DMC 3865. So this is falling over here. Okay, that should be a little bit better. So there's where I've gotten to. And this keeps falling forward. Sorry about that, guys. So I'm using, since the Belladonna is a variegated, I'm just using the one shade of blue, which is certainly making stitching this outside border much easier. The white is kind of ghosting a little bit on here, but it shows up very nicely in real life. And you can see I did the P and the W, if you can see that there. The lighting also is kind of not great today. I did them in white, that's one of my changes. And I have a couple other things that I'm going to change for this one as I go to make it a commemorative of the semi-quincentennial, I believe that's the right word. But this is a really fun stitch. The border is repetitive, but that does make it good for situations like conference calls, because once the pattern's down, until you get to a corner, it's real easy to keep going. And I love, one more look, because I really love the way the colors look on this one. So this is Salute to Abigail. And then, if you, like I said, if you've seen some of my earlier episodes, you know for the month of April, I decided to do Arabesque April. So this is a really bad printout. I bought the PDF, so this is a really bad printout of the cover piece. My printer was running out of ink. This is by Jan Hicks, and I started this with Laura from Stitching by the Shore and Beth, the Steadfast Stitcher. And we're all doing it a little bit differently. Laura finished hers, and she did hers on, sorry, I didn't mean to put that in front of my face, but I need a board here. Laura did hers on with a red variegated thread. She used a cotton. I forget which dyer she used. And hers is beautiful. Like I said, she finished hers. Beth is doing hers with a blue from Vicki Clayton's Hand Dyed Fibers, a Nile blue. And the minute I saw this made me think of, you know, with the Art Nouveau kind of feel, made me think of the Great Gatsby with all that opulent black and gold. So I'm doing mine 2/2 on 32 count antique white Jobelin with a Silks for You PR070 is the black, and Petite Treasure Brig PB01. And I can't get this all in now, but here's where I'm at. So let me take this down, fold it up, and I'll show you what I worked on. So this time I worked on this big bottom motif, and if you've seen Beth's recent floss tubes, she's working up in the other corner. So I worked on that motif. You can see that those little black stitches down on the bottom. That's going to be a spray of flowers that curls up along the side of this. And then I did that really cool inside 3-link chain border there. So I'll be working on this more today, especially during the NASCAR race. This is a really fun piece, but it's very deceptive. I looked at it and I said, you know, if I really concentrated on this in April, I could probably finish this. And it's a lot more stitches than it looks like. You think it's an alphabet, you know, that kind of thing. But some of these motifs, like this big motif here, I mean, that's a lot of stitches. And I admit, I haven't had a whole lot of stitching time this month, but that's a lot of stitches. And I love the way it looks. So I'll get as far as I can in April, and then maybe I'll put it away. This is kind of I call this my year of stitching like a pirate. And initially I wanted to get to touch all of my whips or works in progress, pieces that are partially done. But my overriding goal is to just stitch what I want when I want. So we'll work on Arabesque for the month of April, and then as much longer as I want to go with it. So that is the last piece that I touched. Sorry guys, my throat is really dry. And if I'm going to talk about plans, the only other plan that I have is that my third Whip Go call for this month, when Jessie Marie picks the center square, she picks 3 numbers. I always have a project on my center square. You can use it as a free space to catch up if you want. But my last project is Mary from the Mill Hill Nativity. There she is. Sorry about the glare. So I haven't started her yet, but I'll be starting her and working on her. Generally I work on these while I'm at work when the phones are slow, so hopefully I'll get some good progress on her, get the stitching done, and then I do beading at home. So that's what I've worked on. That's what my plans are. Continue on Arabesque, probably continue on Salute to Abigail, start Mary. But I've been really feeling like I want a new start. And I kind of want to work on a fancy lady, but I'm not sure what I want to start. So I've got a few that are kitted up, and there is one that I did forget to bring up here, but I've got a good selection here. And before I show you them, let me show you a couple, some of my previous finishes. Sorry guys. So I'm not sure if you remember me showing you this last year when I finished it, but this is Earth Dancer by Marilyn Levitt Imblum. Okay, so this one of my options for a new start, and there she is the companion piece for her, which is Spirit Dancer here. And I have her completely kitted, and I have this, I stitched that, planned to stitch them on a fat half. This is a very old Silk Weaver Solo fabric, so this was, you know, kind of like a misdye. and that's getting blown out. But this matches the fabric that Earth Dancer was on. And I have all of the beads, all of the floss. So I have that ready to go. So that's one option. And she's been kind of calling to me, and I've been kind of thinking it would be nice to have them, the pair of them done, so that, you know, maybe I could get them framed. I want to get them framed together, or framed so that they can hang together. And then, so if it's the year of stitching like a pirate, I got thinking maybe I should start a mermaid, right? So I have 2 Mirabilia mermaids finished. This is the Queen Mermaid here. Isn't she pretty? She's so pretty. And she's not framed yet because I was going to do 3 of them together and wanted to be able to hang them together. And then this is Deepest Love. And these are some of Nora's first mermaids. Not the first. So there she is. And these are both stitched on 32 count Water Lily Jovelin. And I have another piece of the Water Lily here. And this is a really pretty color. It's like a real soft bluey green. I know the color's not showing great here. So I have this other fat quarter, and I have 2 of Nora's other mermaids. Now her first mermaid here is Mermaid of the Pearls. So I have her, and she's fully kitted. Or I have Waiting for Ships, which is also fully kitted. But I only have the 1 piece of fabric. So let me know if you think I should start one of those 2. Then I have one of Nora's later mermaids kitted as well, and this is Aphrodite Mermaid. See, she's got the clamshell down there, kind of like a play on the painting. So there she is. There's Aphrodite Mermaid. And I have this gorgeous piece of 32 count linen from Picture This Plus. And I hope you can see this. That's kind of showing. So it's called Jazz, and it's a blue-green with purple modeling. So I have this fabric. So maybe she's an option, right? And then for something complete, well, and then my last true fancy lady, I have Andromeda. And I have her kitted with her beads. And there she is. And her, I want to stitch on this piece of fabric from Oak Crown Studios. This was Amy's first fabric of the month. And it's called Firefly Fairies. And see how it's got that starburst in there? She dyed this because she wanted to stitch Firefly Fairies by Marilyn Levitt Imblum, and there were no hand dyes when Marilyn designed that piece, and she gave instructions on how to bleach a piece of fabric to get this light spot in the middle, and that kind of freaked Amy out a little bit, and she's creative enough and good with dye, so she dyed this. So that's what I've had Andromeda slated for quite a while. I have a feeling with the color in her rocks, I may need to change that up a little bit just because it might be the wrong tone, but that should be easy to shift it a little bit if I have to. And for something completely different, I have this gorgeous piece of fabric, also by Amy from Oak Crown Studios, and this is her, was it Coral Gardens? So see how pretty and sunny with splotches of color that is? Isn't that pretty? Definitely not my usual, but I love it. And the minute I saw this fabric, when she showed it, when she was first rolling out her line, I've always wanted to stitch these 2 together on one piece. This is the Petal Fairy by Nora Corbett. It's a Mirabilia. And this is Bliss Fairy by Nora Corbett. And at one point I saw somebody stitch them together so they were facing, and their flowers form a bit of a heart. So that's what's going to go on Coral Garden. I've got them all kitted up as well. I do need to test the yellows in petal fairy, just to make sure that they will show up on the yellow based fabric. But that's an option for another start. And another piece that's been calling to me, and most of this is Amy's fault because you'll see this is another piece of her fabric. This is a butternut road piece, which is Marilyn Levitt emblem, and this is called Christmas Visit. Real pretty lady in a real pretty gray skirt. And I love gray with like a wine color. And this is another one of Amy's fabrics. And this one I'm going to do as a mini. So I'll be stitching her on this piece of 20 count fabric. But this is a pretty, I think it's in the wine family to me. That's how it shows. And it's called Fireside. And it's blowing out a little bit. Let's see. That's a little better. But I want to stitch her on this. So those are my options. And I know I went through this a little quick. My battery is kind of sketchy on my camera. And I've got some other things going that I wanted to get through this and get this out to you. So I apologize if I did go too fast. But if you would, leave me a comment. Leave me a comment about anything. I love hearing from you, and I do my best to respond. I may not respond immediately, but I do respond and would love to have a conversation. But let me know what you think I might want to start. The two fairies, you just say the fairies. Christmas Visit, again, the lady in the gray dress. Or Andromeda. Or Aphrodite Mermaid. Waiting for Ships. I love her tail. I really do. I've seen her stitched. She's just gorgeous. Mermaid of the Pearls, which is also beautiful. And actually at the first Mirabilia retreat, she was on the brag table stitched as a mini Mira. That was gorgeous. Oh, hold on, I've got to move this. Or Spirit Dancer. So let me know if you have an opinion. I'd love to hear from you. And if you think I should just skip starting something and work on one of my existing projects, let me know that too. That's about it. Really, there's not a lot going on. We were supposed to go see Barry Manilow tomorrow night, but that show has been postponed until the end of June. I know he had surgery back at the end of February, beginning of March, and his recovery has not been going as quickly as anticipated. So we'll continue to say prayers that he is able to recover. I would love to be able to see him perform, but I would just love to have him recover from his surgery more. Other than that, there's really not much going on. We did get out for our first motorcycle ride yesterday. It was absolutely gorgeous. So we went for a quick ride. We had some adulting stuff to do, you know, like lawn chores and that kind of thing, but then we did get out, so that was fun. Really not all that much, you know, we're kind of hanging at home, continuing to clean and get ready to hopefully move before the end of the year. That's a project. We've got 2 houses to clean out, so we're working on that. And, you know, day-to-day work stuff. So I hope you're all doing well. If you're in the Northern Hemisphere, I hope you're finding some nice spring weather. I know there's been some in the middle of America, Midwest. There's been some really crazy kind of weather. I hope everyone who has been impacted by that is safe. And if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, I hope you're easing into fall and having some beautiful autumn weather, whatever that means where you are. So I'm going to say goodbye for now. Hopefully I'll get this up real soon, like this afternoon. And I hope to hear from you. Let me know what you think about what I should work on next and anything else that you might want to chat about. So keep stitching, stitch what makes you happy. This is our hobby, right, and our craft, and not really our job. So keep stitching, and I'll talk to you soon. Love ya. Bye.